Tom, these overinflated numbers this late into the playoffs, how do you approach them?
I mean, it depends on what player we're talking about. We're talking about SGA. The right play would be to take the under. It's very uncomfortable with an SGA, Jokic, Giannis, even Brunson to an extent. And, Halliburton, I feel at times, I'm not sure if he's going to score as much, but I know the points plus assists, prop, that would be the spot to go. So, of course, there will be a point of resistance in the market where, a 32 line for SGA, I think, is a bit much. 33, I would absolutely take the under. But it's not like you're not comfortable. It's going to be a sweat the entire game. It's going to have like 12 after 1, and you're just hoping that the game slows down and grinds out, and he's just not going to have as many attempts, and he's going to be a little bit inefficient. Like, the under is the right side, but it's not comfortable.
This is what I've been writing in the newsletter. I said, hey, SGA is great and all. Here are the numbers. You don't have to listen to me. You could not take the under. You could totally take the over if you want to go Joe Public. The numbers are telling you that SGA's points prop should be 30.5, maybe 31.5, but it should not be 32.5 because SGA is averaging 30.5 points a game, but 30.5 at home as well. It's too high.
It is. And then, especially depending on where we see the total fall, asking one player to do 30 some odd % of one team scoring is a lot. And Indiana's going to know that. They will change things defensively to, I'm not going to say take him out of the game because that's not going to happen, but limit him. Like force Lou Dort to make threes, right? Jalen Williams has been awesome, but force the ball into his hands. Listen, if Lou Dort's can hit 3 threes, we'll make him shoot, and you have to beat us. We're going to do the best to limit SGA, and this is obviously assuming that the Pacers and the Thunder both win.
Yeah, I mean, based on what I've been seeing, it looks a little bit likely. What would you say? I know that you like hockey as well. Who would you say is the best shot to come back from down 3-1?
I would say the Stars.
Me too.
Just because I'm not convinced, and I haven't been convinced over a couple seasons now, that Stuart Skinner is an elite goalie. The goalie for the Oilers, that is. I think he's a good goalie, and I think the system in front of him is very, very good. But he himself is not as good as Jake Ottinger on a one-to-one basis, the goalie for the Stars. So I would take the Stars. I am biased. I do have a Stars future at 7.5 to 1, which looks all but dead at this point. And I'm on the Panthers money line tonight, so no Carolina.
Sean asked if you're a Maple Leafs fan.
No, God, no. I'm a Rangers fan, which isn't much better, but I'm not a Maple Leafs fan.
I mean, what is going on here, Sean? No, absolutely not. The New York has been through a ton of heartbreaks recently, Tom. The Knicks last night, it was as if, it was definitely their worst game of the series. I know that game 1 was heartbreaker, but this one, they looked absolutely lazy and just were trying to throw any Hail Mary out there that they could. Would you say last year it was the Met, last baseball season, the Mets losing the NLCS. The Yankees have the horrible 5th inning and lose. The Rangers have such a down year this year. Their fans were so excited. The Knicks, they kind of blew it, even though they overachieved. I can argue the Yankees and the Mets overachieved too. But who would you say has been the most devastating New York team to watch in the last few years?
It depends on what you want to...
Heartbreak, too much faith in them, and they just crush your soul. The Yankees 5th inning to me crushed my soul.
Right. I think that would be the answer just because they were in the finals. The Rangers lost in the conference finals last year. They lost in conference finals 3 years ago, if I remember correctly, against Tampa, or 4 years ago against Tampa in 2021. You can't even put the Jets and Giants in this conversation just because they're bad overall. But the Mets or the Yankees have to be the answer just because they were so close to getting it done.
Yeah, and I guess you have faith in those teams to come through, and you're just glad to be here, honestly, at this point, if you're a Knicks fan. Okay, yeah. We've got a game tonight in the NBA Western Conference Finals. T-Wolves are down 3-1 to OKC. We agree on a lot tonight, Tom, which usually it's not that we disagree. We just don't usually have the same card. But right. You do with Rudy Gobert under 7.5 points. Why are you taking the under?
Well, I do like the under for this game overall. And, he has this one game per series in the playoffs where he's just going to, I don't want to say pop off because that's not Rudy Gobert, but he's going to have his one game where his efficient.
I get what you're saying because we're all a little tortured by that 27-point Lakers performance.
It's true. And he has his one double-digit game, but he's just not a high usage offensive player. And, frankly, him getting over in the most recent game is really just a product of the game environment overall, where we're seeing, the teams push to 130 final, and it really shouldn't be him out there with the ball in his hands. Like, what's more important, getting Ant, who started off that recent game extremely slow, getting the ball in his hands more, getting Rudy Gobert extra touches on offense. And at a certain point, like, we know that Rudy Gobert subbed out pretty early for Naz Reid. So there's nothing. Listen, people may not like under 7.5 because it's a low line, but you can't convince me to bet Rudy Gobert overs. Like, you could send me the money and I still wouldn't bet it on it.
If you have a look, which I'm going to repeat myself probably in like a half hour when I talk about this game, Rudy Gobert on the road in the playoffs, just eliminate that 27-point Lakers performance, that one game, eliminate it in LA. All of Gobert's other playoff games on the road this year, he's averaging just over 5 points a game. That's why this number is 7.5.
He just doesn't have enough field goal attempts, nor is he actually good on offense. He's not a talented offensive center. He is a center that gets easy putbacks, lobs, whatever it might be, and that's where he gets his points. And sure, he can go to the line a bunch of times and, go 3 of 6 from the line. Like, he's not good at shooting, but he'll just get a few points here or there. He just shouldn't have the ball in his hands tonight. That's the answer.
Are you like me that if in game 4 Gobert had another bad game, you wouldn't have bet this under? But he had 13 last game, so it actually entices me to take the under more.
No, I mean, I saw his line at 6.5. I forget which game it was the other day. Maybe it was game 3 or 4, but like I would be on unders as long as the line was appropriate every time. Doesn't matter if he had 11 the most recent game, 20 the most recent game. I'd be looking to unders as long as that's 7.5 or 8. I wouldn't play under 6.5.
This number of 6.5 rebounds for Isaiah Hartenstein is kind of like iffy to me. It feels pretty low. I know he hasn't been as much of a monster on the boards. Why do you think this is the chance for him to go over?
So I like this spot for him just because I expect the game. They want to grind this game down. Like, I don't think they want to turn what they had, especially at the end of the most recent game like that. More possessions, more scoring, increases variance, and I think that could play into the favor of the Timberwolves. So if the Thunder defense shows up tonight, I think they're going to try and do everything they can to limit it, and that's going to mean more rebounding opportunities for Hartenstein. If you look at the game flow logs from the most recent game, he didn't play at all in the fourth quarter. They wanted the smaller lineup, Casey Wallace out there, Williams off the bench. So I expect him to get back to his normal set of minutes in the mid-20s instead of down at 16, 17, 18, as we've seen in some of these recent games. So I like just the fact that it's at 6.5, and he could easily push to 8 or 9, especially if we're going to be seeing more missed shots. I think the Timberwolves will be playing from behind. They got to get creative with their offense, and he'll be there.
How about Anthony Edwards tonight? Anything about him intrigue you?
No, I was looking at under, I think it was 6.5, or maybe not 6.5, for what his first quarter points prop was. Listen, he's been starting slow. Like, there's nothing that's drawing me to him that I want to bet. I will say if he does start off extremely slow, as we saw, not just in this game, but what was the game against the Warriors? He had 1 point in the first half in one of those games, if I remember correctly. I would be looking to live bet him, right? Like, he starts off with like 6 points, 8 points in the first half. Like, that's not good enough. Like, Ant's got to shoot in the second half. They'll be playing from behind. So a live prop for Ant would probably be better than any pregame number.
Hey, we're seeing some people hit these live props. What are your thoughts, Tom, on the live prop market?
You have to be watching the game. You can't just be like scrolling through, and I would bet it during commercial breaks because we know that you're watching on YouTube TV, whatever stream you're watching on is generally delayed a little bit. So bet it during commercial breaks is the real advice.
Someone the other day, I saw live bet SGA to have 40 or more points and ended up hitting because he hit 40. I have the graphic yesterday. I put it up. I probably deleted it. Let me see if I have the payout.
I mean, he was pushing towards like 30. And I think at one point I saw a live bet on FanDuel that said, will SGA record a new career playoff high, which was 39. And I was like, this game's, that mean the game would have to get out of hand. And I just wasn't betting anything live at that point. But I mean, if you nailed the 40 plus, that is.
Someone hit the 40 plus on the nose and ends up making like a bunch, thousands. I forget like the exact payout, but lucky person. I never use the live betting market, and I know I should because you probably do get somewhat of an advantage, even though the DraftKings CPO told me they definitely have the advantage, I mean,
when I live bet, generally it's like I'm looking for something very specific. where like in hockey, I often talk about like I want an early, like tonight's over under is 5.5. Like I don't want under 5.5. I want under 6.5. So I'll be looking for a live 6.5 if there's an early goal, but like the live 6.5 may never come. I do it a lot in NFL season where like, let's say a team is favored by 6, 6.5, 7. I'm like, yeah, that's a fine line. But if the other team gets out to a lead ahead, I'll be looking to jump at a -3, -2.5. And that may never show up, but that's when I'm looking for something specific. I'm not just sitting there saying, oh, let me just start betting something. Like I want something very, very specific.
Create your own numbers, and that's what Tom does, which is why before we get to his next play in baseball, we're going to talk about Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani became the first player to get 20 home runs. He was plus 190 to homer yesterday. I think this was yesterday.
Yeah.
What the hell, Tom? I mean, at this rate, we talked about this with Judge. Same with Ohtani. Like, we can't bet his home run props anymore. The numbers don't make sense.
I mean, some people do. I won't. I mean, 190 is an insane number to bet a home run on, even though, what is it? It's 20 home runs in now, 55 games. So and some of those games, again, are multi-home run games. So he is failing to hit home runs more than half the time. If you are consistently betting on like plus 190, Judge was plus 125 in that Coors Field the other day. Like if you're consistently betting on those lines, you are coming out net negative over the long term. Like that's just what it is.
Somebody I saw on social media said that he went to Coors and just kept fading Aaron Judge the whole time.
That is good luck with that. I mean, I don't want to give too much credit to the Rockies, but if you look at that series, they scored 10 runs in that one inning, and then I'm pretty sure they scored fewer than 10 runs in the rest of the series combined. So the Rockies didn't play terrible, which is a pretty big step for them.
That's a pretty big step for them, for sure. The Yankees have one more game tonight, at least, against the Angels, and then Friday is when it starts.
Angels money line is probably the right side to be on tonight.
For some reason, freaking Kikuchi just owns the Yankees. Like in the last 2 years, I don't get it.
Yeah, when he was with not the Maple Leafs, the Blue Jays, he was very good. But tomorrow's an off day for the Yanks, and then a big series versus the Dodgers. So it's like, eyes are set to the future.
Judge, Judge or bust, and I know that there's other players that have been playing well for the Yankees, but Judge is hitting 200 against Kikuchi. It's bizarre. Yeah, all these Yankees have great numbers against lefties, and they can't hit Kikuchi.
Yeah. You think with all the righties in their lineup, especially over the past few years when he was healthy, you should be like, it's just righties against Kikuchi, who has terrible underlying metrics, but he just gets it done, and the Yankees just don't score.
You've got another play in the late game tonight because the Seattle Mariners are playing George Kirby under 5.5 Ks. Wow. Yeah.
So I think George Kirby is a really, really good pitcher, but first off, this is only his second outing. He had 72 pitches in his first outing. And even if you look back at last year and the year before, he's an awesome pitcher, but he's not a strikeout pitcher. Like his strikeout rate last year was at 23%. It was sub 23% the year before. The league average strikeout rate last year was 22.6%. So he's literally an average strikeout pitcher, but what is he great at? He doesn't walk anyone. His walk rate is sub 5%, and he induces a lot of ground balls. So he's a really good, like real life pitcher is like sometimes the term I like to use, but he's not necessarily a good prop pitcher because he doesn't always push the strikeout rate. In Washington, they're at 20.3% strikeout rate versus righties, which is the 8th lowest in the league. So combine that with the Mariners' health or lack thereof overall, where Bryce Miller and Logan Gilbert are still hurt. You have their ace come back, and you're saying, hey, he was only at 72 pitches. We're still down 2 of our starting pitchers. We can't push him out there. There's no need to push him out there for 95 pitches. I expect him to be at like 80, 85 today at best.
Yeah, George Kirby's second start since coming off the IL against a low K rate team. I agree with you on George Kirby for sure, Tom. Tomorrow, we do have a doubleheader now that the Atlanta and Philly game got postponed from tonight to tomorrow. And you've got AJ Smith-Shawver going up against Christopher Sanchez. Then, of course, the Phillies decide, hey, we're not going to keep the Wheeler-Smith-Shawver matchup the way it was supposed to be today. We're going to let Wheeler throw at night so that it could be Wheeler versus Chris Sale, which completely blows the fishy line today because it was like 10-cent move against Wheeler today, despite it being AJ Smith-Shawver for the Braves. Anyway, how do you approach betting doubleheaders?
Generally, I don't expect one team to win both games of the doubleheader. So I'm just like, if whatever happens in the first game, I'll generally be on the other side of it for the second game. this is not like a set in stone rule. If we're talking about the White Sox or the Rockies or some team that I deem to be bad or some team that's struggling, I'm not just going to be automatically firing on them. But I generally don't think both teams will win. Now, I do like the idea of an under in that second game, just thinking about it from a high level. If we're going to see watered down lineups in that second game, if we have Sale and Wheeler both going, that would be lower scoring is my initial thought, combined with the fact that Bryce Harper got hit yesterday. He left. X-rays were negative, but if he's not in the lineup for either game, it's just factually a weaker lineup for the Phillies overall.
Damn, that's going to be a hell of a game. That's the game of the night because everything else
really like 5 games tomorrow now with the doubleheader.
5 games with the doubleheader, and the other pitching matchup is the A's in Toronto, which is Jacob Lopez versus Jose Barrios, Rays versus Astros, Shane Baz and Ryan Gusto, and then the Nats and Mariners, you get Mackenzie Gore and Emerson Hancock.
I mean, Mackenzie Gore is awesome.
He's great.
I mean, right from the jump. I saw the schedule yesterday, but the A's hitters should have a good time versus Jose Barrios. He's not good anymore.
No, it's so sad. Jose Barrios not good. Did you like anything today, like in this afternoon slate? Were you on anything?
I mean, I had some action out there. It hasn't gone well. I also have Sandy going for my fantasy team, which is an absolute disaster that I'm seeing now. But the game is tied 6-6. The hit parlays that I normally do every day started off the month super strong. A little bit slower since then, if I'm being honest. Everyone, follows me on Twitter. You'll see. I think I've 3-6 over the last stretch. I'm still 16-8 since May 7th, but a lot of those losses are recently. So it has been a downturn, even though it's still up overall for the month. So
have you gone away from home run props now that you like your hit parlays?
Yeah, home run props are great, but you have to be like in it for the long term. You have to be in it for the long haul to bet them every single day. And I just don't want to anymore when it comes down to, like, I still bet them when you get the promos, or on DK, they have like, you can slap an extra 200 plus on it, whatever it is. Obviously yesterday with the boost. And so I'll use those, but it's not at the same rate that it once was.
Tom Vecchio, check him out over at SportsGrid. Thank you so much for coming on, as always, giving us winners as best you can. We love you. Thank you, and see you soon.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, I've got a lot of leans for today. First, let's start with